Hey, real estate agents, welcome to Making a Smarter Agent, your program to find out all the tips and trends as told by the great ones in real estate. What's a great one? Someone that's able to make money and still keep their head on straight. Let's face it, this is a tough business. We interview tough people who seem to make it look easy. Well, there's one guy that's with me today who embodies exactly that, Raifie Bass in Aspen, Colorado. How are you, Raifie?
Morning, Edmund. How are you?
Fantastic. I'm delighted to have you on the podcast. Why don't you give us the 10,000-yard view of you and your business, and exactly how long ago you got started, where you are now, that type of thing.
Sure. Thanks for the opportunity to be on here this morning. Following in the footsteps of some great agents, so I feel pretty honored. Let's see. I've been in Aspen this will be my 30th year, Thanksgiving. I've been selling real estate full-time here for 26 years. I've been with Douglas Elliman coming up on 5 years. I work on a team. I have a partner, Wendy Bogen. We also work with a couple of other great people, particularly Betsy Black, who handles all of our rentals and administration. And we're kind of the one-stop shop for Aspen. And my partner grew up in Aspen, so we have deep community roots. We're involved in all sorts of stuff philanthropically and volunteer positions. And as a parent, coaching, you name it, just a part of feeling really fortunate to be a part of this great community. So.
Sure. And I know your son is a competitive skier
both of my kids are competitive big mountain skiers. One's in Montana competing, and one's in high school here competing in the Rocky Mountain region. So, yeah.
Wow. So, let's get right down to it. Again, as I said in the preamble, we've got agents. My audience is largely made up of people who sell real estate agents primarily. And, I love to get down to the nitty gritty about what works. Talk to me about when you first got started in the business, exactly how you got started. What was, Aspen is wealthy now, was wealthy then. How did you have the audacity to become as an outsider to break into such a market?
Aspen's definitely a unique little fishbowl. There's obviously a lot of commerce that goes on here. I worked in retail. In the outdoor industry when I first got here. And I looked, what would provide me an opportunity for the ability to stay here long-term. And I had a family in the real estate business back East, and it kind of came naturally to me. It's funny, when I started in the business, we worked on a really old IBM kind of DOS system. I had to work, I was a Mac guy, so I had to work on boot camp, and it was a terrible interface, but we had printed biweekly MLS books. Mm-hmm. And that's how quickly the market moved. And I remember asking an agent in my office who's still in the business, like, how do I learn the market? What do I do? And he said, rip out a couple pages, get on your bike and start riding around and learning neighborhoods. And I literally would go out for bike rides because, when you're a new agent, you have a lot of free time. You don't have a lot of money. You don't have a lot of marketing, and you don't have a lot of contacts. And, knowledge is power. And I just tried to learn as much as I could about the business. I kind of became the sponge of being around, going to open houses with agents with a lot of experience, listening to how properties had traded hands, who owned them, the backstory, not necessarily like what did it sell for, price per square foot, who the builders were, but just kind of building, your knowledge base and passion for the business. And in this town, people love that. It's more than just, I need a roof over my head. It's like, it's adding something to their portfolio. There's many different reasons people buy second homes, which is a big part of our market. So it was a great learning experience.
Okay, well, all well said. I'm curious though, how many transactions? I mean, when you say Aspen, let's go to the coverage area. You work in Aspen proper, but the surrounding area as well, no?
Yeah. So our valley is 40 miles from Aspen to Glenwood. When our market is kind of Aspen and Snowmass are one. We market really together. So, Snowmass is, 10 miles, 8 miles away. And our market is kind of one whole market. The next stop down valley is Basalt, which is 18 miles, and then Carbondale a little further. So we sell properties throughout the valley, but really our focus and my personal area of expertise is Aspen Snowmass.
Okay. So going back to what you were saying about you were riding around on the bike, let's fast forward to the year 3 or 4 in the business. What did you do at that point to get the phone to ring? What did you do to actually break in?
Technology was a lot different than it is now. And it's probably the thing that I missed the most going on during COVID is kind of better, belly to belly interactions, actual human handshaking interactions. And, living in a small town, you very much are measured by how, one of the questions people always ask is, how long have you been here? And to me, it's more about not how long you've been somewhere, but what are you doing in your community? So it was just about being out and about. I knew a ton of people from retail and trying to make that connection the same way. When they see you, do they see you as a realtor, a husband, as a father of your daughters, as the owner of your dog, as a member of your country club? Where do they prioritize that connection? And for me, jokingly, one of my friend's kids was like, "You're Raifie the realtor." How, again, trying to continually put that into people's heads so that when they go to list their house, when they're going to buy a house, that you're coming up in their top 1, 2, or 3. You're getting the at-bats and getting those opportunities and hopefully earning them.
Sure. So despite all this, it is the secondary home market. It is a expensive secondary home market. I know this year you had a tremendous couple of successes, as you do every year. How many transactions are actually taking place in your region in its entirety? Any thought of that?
I mean, when I started, I think our high water mark for our market was in the $600 and $700 million market. When you looked at the market as a whole, we've since had $1 billion markets, $1.5 billion markets, $2 billion markets, multiple years over $2 billion. This year is, many of the conversations that we all have are, I kind of look at pre-COVID as the norm, when people are like, what's the rental history? What are the sales histories? Because we are living in some weird alternate universe right now. Our market, it is the Twilight Zone. Our market is unique in that from the middle of probably March until now, we've had a solid, very healthy year's worth of transactions, and our market is still going. I mean, we're going to end up with over a $2 billion market in 6 months of transactions. And there's, a bunch of reasons which we can talk about as to why, because that's not the norm going on in the country or in the world. So, I think it's working as hard as you can while it's happening, knowing that markets change. They don't always get better. They don't always get worse, but they definitely get different. So, maximizing your time in the market.
Is Aspen interest rate sensitive, at least as much as the other markets are? Would you say that's a fair statement?
Yeah, absolutely. No question about it. I think right now, the things that the drivers of our market are, COVID, obviously, and people being locked in small spaces in the cities and wanting to get out and go to warm places, whether it's, Miami or Arizona or our California markets, or certainly being outside. We saw this really kind of post 9/11 as well. Safety is here it's social unrest in a lot of the big cities is driving a lot of people to look outside, whether they're going to Westchester, Connecticut, or out of the cities. And technology has allowed people to do that as well. I mean, if you're in an electronic world, you can trade, you can do anything online. And we've all become accustomed to working on Zoom. You add in, all-time highs in equity markets, people are taking money out of those markets. And then you put in the ability for people to borrow money at 2% long-term, and, smart people borrow money and do other things with it. So it's kind of the perfect storm for us, but absolutely. We do see many of our purchases are cash purchases, whatever that means. People could be borrowing money from margins or other places, but they close with cash, and then we'll refinance after. I mean, obviously, as you know, you tend not to get as good of a long-term financing because it's not a first home purchase, it's a refi. So we do kind of counsel people on that. But the kind of the Achilles heel, I think, is the slow return response on appraisals right now. I mean, because here's a market, we don't have condo or co-op boards. You don't have to get vetted. If you show up here with money, you can buy something and you can be in. If it's a spec house or it's ready to go, you can be in 10 days, 2 weeks. And we have closings of people that literally have been closing. Like, they come out, they look, they know the market, they know Aspen, they buy, and they're here.
Sure. But bringing it full circle, because I think everyone that's listening to this who sells would love to know just how you pull a rabbit out of the hat. It was widely reported, at least in the trades and within the company, that you did a $30 million sale. Mm-hmm. Is that off limits, or can I bring it up?
No, we closed it. We closed a house that was under contract for over 100 days through all of COVID for $27 million, and we just had another sale over 20 million last month as well. So
what came first, the chicken or the egg? What's, from your standpoint, you're a listing agent, a selling agent, or both?
On both of those transactions, we were listing agents, and one of them we were the first listing agent on, and one of them we were the second listing agent on. And again, part of it, I always try to look at where does your business come from? Because it doesn't always come from the same sources. Is it referral business? Is it, is it branded business? Is it personal branding? Is it Douglas Elliman branding? And, one of them was absolutely a personal relationship, a long-term personal relationship. And one of them, we partnered with a Douglas Elliman agent that I met at my first Douglas Elliman event in Florida.
That's great. Okay. Well, so there's the value.
Yeah, no question. No brand question. Sold.
No, that it's good to hear. Going forward, I mean, aside from the relationships that you've had, what do you do, or what would you advise an agent to do to get the phone to ring? In other words, do you market? Do you advertise? Let's ask questions. Do you do mailers?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Can I ask what your budget is for mailing, and how many pieces, or how would you want to answer that?
So, I grew up in a direct mail family that actually did that. And, for a long time, probably the things that people have looked away from are direct mail and newspaper advertising as kind of things of the past, things that technology, analytics, everyone pushes on all of this, on, the new fancy stuff. But I think the old tried and true on things like just sold, I've used a pretty successful campaign with new listings of pick your neighbor. I know you're very successful in doing that. Who's the most enthusiastic person in your neighborhood? You. Who are you want to tell your friends? You want to empower people to then be your source of referrals and marketing. And it also helps bring people to the table to go, wow, he just sold that, or he just listed that. I wonder what my house is worth. And yeah, I mean, we have Zillow and other places to measure theoretically on incorrect data, the values of our houses. And now everybody's a real estate expert, but one would hope that you would come to, whether it's you or one of the other agents, and really trust us that we know what we're doing. We do this full time. This is our job. We're experts in our field.
How many pieces do you mail? Typically,
it'll be neighborhood dependent. Our neighborhoods are pretty small, and it could be a postcard run of 200 to 400.
It's tiny.
Yeah, I mean, very, very specific on neighborhood mailings, not like I'm going to go mail everybody in Aspen. I'm not sending out 5,000 postcards or 5,000 direct mails. I do try to keep in touch with mail, actual real mail, and thank you notes and things like that with customers and past clients, just to let them know that you're thinking about them. I mean, it shouldn't be a one-time close and, good luck in your home. Because if the experience was good, they're going to send you business.
And what about, but I mean, let's go way back in 2019 when there wasn't COVID. Like, did you have parties? Were there events? Are you an events-based marketing guy at all?
No, I mean, it's interesting. I know you've been very successful. I look to people like Paul Zwieben, who's probably the expert of his cooking parties and what he does in holiday parties and stuff like that. I think that we kind of, both my partner and I, entertain in a different level, kind of in a one-on-one basis, and not really, do events. Where we have done events, on the house that you talked about, on the $27 million sale, the house was actually rented. They had never rented the house. They did a 14-day rental, which we were involved with, to Louis Vuitton. And Louis Vuitton launched a winter couture line here. And they invited their top 50 clients from around the world and put them up in Aspen, and basically took all the furnishings out of the house, brought people in and made it into their showroom. It was unbelievable. And they allowed us to do a small event there for kind of our top high-end clients who we felt would work both with their brand and with our brand. So we've been looking at kind of more of those, specific branded events. But, it's very, very challenging here, particularly with second homeowners. When people are here over the holidays, they're so programmed, they're so busy, they're so family driven. I mean, our showings are not very high over the holidays. Renters don't want to let people in. Families don't want to let people in, even though they're selling their own houses, which is always an interesting thing. So, we really kind of keep it on a smaller scale.
Got it. It's interesting. I asked this because I'm doing a deal now with Dave Roberts, who, according to Wall Street Journal, is number 6 in the country. And I asked him about his events, and he said before COVID, he did every year a holiday party. He said it would rival a bar mitzvah or a wedding. I mean, he really would spend 6 figures on this. So I'm always curious to hear what everyone is doing to get that phone to ring. What else? I mean, do you have an email blast or social media? What makes people think about you?
Well, one more thing on the holiday thing. We both have traveled and will again to customers and clients' holiday parties out of market. And that has been really successful because it's kind of a peer-to-peer introduction. Like, hey, this is Raifie from Aspen. He sold our house. And I think that level of legitimacy makes it less of a pitch, that if somebody invites you to their home in Florida for their holiday party and you actually get on a plane and fly there, or Houston or California, that your ability to kind of go, deeper is much easier. You're not pitching. So,
sure. 100%. Look, I say that to agents. Well, it makes me go to the next question. We've already told me you got a deal that you could absolutely tie to your relationships with Elman. How much on a fairly regular basis do deals come through other agents outside of your region, Elman or non?
All the time. There's no question. I mean, to me, you're honestly my number one customer and client, as much as anybody who's selling their house, because I am in a unique place geographically. And, you talked about marketing and branding. It took me a number of years to get over the fact that I had a weird name that no one could pronounce or spell. But I would hope at this point that the brand recognition of Raifie and Aspen and Douglas Elliman, that kind of triangular branding, which I work on, is that my clients who are in New York, when they see a Douglas Elliman property, that I'm kind of in that circle in their mind, like, oh, Raifie works at Douglas Elliman in Aspen, or we have a broker at Douglas Elliman. And it's really interesting, that when I send out reports, what people are looking at, you'd be amazed at how many brokers in Florida don't send out the Element Florida reports. When I send out an Element Florida report to a Florida client, they call me. So, again, they're coming to me going, wow, that's a really cool report. I'd never seen that before. And, I'm in blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, wow, I know this broker in your market. I know that broker. And they're like, oh, you know them? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. They're a great broker. And I mean, I did a deal in New York from a broker with Alex Rubin, helped a long-term family friend whose family's been in Long Beach for 40 years and they never knew each other. And I'm like, hey, it's funny. I know the best broker in your market. So, but for those connections, it wouldn't have happened.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Good to hear and good to know about the connection. I'm always amazed at the brokers that are making the novice move of making enemies out of other brokers. I never really understood why people, even within my own office, I got to be honest with you, sometimes the junior people, they hear about me, they get the social media. I'm doing a possible $2 million deal with someone who just doesn't know how to do it, and so I think you definitely have the right idea.
One of the early, I dealt with a broker who has since retired and had a lot of connections, was not a very good technical broker, to say the least. They gave us they gave us an offer with things that were not filled out. It was not done properly. And rather than make them feel embarrassed, I knew they had a ready, able, and willing buyer. We offered in a very nice, non-condescending way to rewrite their offer form. We ended up selling the property. So, here we have 650 brokers. We were roughly 10% of the people in Aspen have real estate licenses. You never know who's going to bring you a buyer. Don't discount because they've never done a deal that they may not have a family member, someone that they've taught skiing to, fly fishing, that they met at a restaurant. Do not discount it. Everybody's a customer or client. Yeah,
no, so certainly words to live by. Okay, so we know we got some mailings. We know that you'll travel far. I got to keep you on my party list now. Maybe who knows? I might be able to get you to fly from Aspen. There's always a place for you to crash here with me. So, my wife and I would always welcome you and your family over.
Ooh, I like it.
Yeah, no, hey, listen, carte blanche to the country club, man. It's kind of cool. Should take me up on it. Right time of year, it works. But, going full circle now, 30 years in the business, you have made a name for yourself. You've got a lot of great stuff going on here. What do you think the future is now for real estate in Aspen? Do you think it's going to still have that upward trajectory? Is there anything that you're seeing signs of it waning at all? What are your thoughts about the next 6 to 18 months?
Well, I've been through a couple of election cycles, as have you and a number of other brokers. Usually election cycles are slower. People are kind of waiting and seeing. And this is an exception. It is the twilight zone. So I don't know what the next phase will bring. The forefathers of Aspen who put very, very strict design guidelines and growth guidelines over 35 years ago. I don't think in their infinite wisdom, their hope was to artificially inflate real estate prices by limiting supply, but they did. I think we've maintained, as much as people complain about it, very much of the character and the things that make this town unique. And I'm not, that's not an ego thing. Aspen's a pretty special place, and people recognize that and continue to come here. So I don't see that changing. And, I think people feel good about this place, and hopefully, we have people that pay attention to things like climate change, because like your market with rising seawater, we are very much dependent on snow, and that's our lifeblood. So I feel pretty good about our trajectory of where our town is and the experience that people continue to have here. Will it continue to go up at the rate that it's going? No. I think I shrug my shoulders, and there's a lot of activity in our market, and people are paying premiums and buying stuff that they want, that they may not necessarily need, but for a lot of people, it's an investment. It's a long-term investment. It's a multi-generational family investment. And it's not something that they're trying to turn around and flip. It's not a fix and flip market. So I feel pretty good about our market.
So very, very good. Last question for you. Again, keeping in mind who the audience is, real estate agents from across the country. You're a new guy. You got into the business. You've got about 6 months of money. You're crashing on your mom's couch, whatever you're going to actually do. You got your computer, you got your telephone, and you need to get off your mom's sofa in the next 6 months. What are you going to do right now to actually bring in revenue? Aside from rentals, I know everyone's going to jump into how easy the rental is. How are you going to jumpstart your sales career? Go.
Well, I think number one, you want to be affiliated with a company that hopefully has the ability to help you as an agent, right? And I mean, a lot of companies, it's like, here's your desk, here's your sign, pat you on the back, good luck, Ed, knock them out. Try to find a brand that will support you, whether it's through technology, whether it's through, Element does an amazing job of all their role-playing calls. I mean, what are they going to do to help you and utilizing it? You can have all these tools, but if you don't utilize any of them, that they don't matter. Number two, get out, use your time wisely, both in learning the market and look for opportunities. And, a lot of people don't want to take their largest asset and give it to a rookie. So that may mean partnering with a more experienced agent. Maybe there's an agent that's at the top of their game who are only cherry picking the big deals. Well, what are they doing with all their small deals? Can you work part-time for them? Can you sit open houses? What are you going to do? Open houses are a great way to take a laptop, go sit there and bird dog walk-ins, bird dog clients. And there's a lot of people that are not maximizing those because they're just too busy. And lastly, depending on where you are, dig deep in your community. Think about going forward over the next year, 3 years, 5 years, where is your source of business going to come from, and who trusts you? Who are your long-term relationships, and how can you foster them? And, giving back to your community is not about what you get, it's about what you give. But kind of the ancillary part of that is that the more you give, the more you will get back. And, get involved in something that you love, whether it's coaching kids, whether it's mentoring kids, it could be anything. Do what you love and your passion will show through and you'll build relationships.
Fantastic. These are words to live by, folks. Raifie Bass, Aspen, Colorado. Raifie, I meant that. You and your family are more than welcome anytime. Boca Raton, at the most freezing point, when you can spare some time, let me know. I'd love to see you. And for those that are watching, Raifie is a part of my weekly think tank. It's called Rain Nation. It's the Real Estate Information Group and Networking. It's a fantastic opportunity to meet other like-minded agents. You don't need to be the richest person in the company. You just have to do this full time and really call this your career. And I think that we've got a sensational group of people by design. If anyone stinks, we just throw them out. It's very simple. We just have a really, really good group of people that are talking, and it meets Wednesday mornings, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you're interested, please do make a comment down below or give me a buzz. Raifie, I look forward to seeing you at the next Rain Nation meeting, and thanks so much for coming today.
I'll see you in 20 hours. Thanks for the invite, Ed.
Okay, good to see you. Take care.
Take it easy. Have a great day.
Making a Smarter Agent would like to thank its two sponsors. The first is Organized New York Palm Beach, which you could see on Instagram at the handle Organized Palm Beach. Let's face it, organization stinks. It's tough. Organized New York Palm Beach is the premier organizing company that operates between New York and Palm Beach County, Florida. Go check them out on Instagram at Organized Palm Beach. Also, Rain Nation. That's the Real Estate Information Group Network. Think of it as group therapy for realtors. And you know what? We need it. It's part think tank. It's part coaching. It's all opportunity. Rain Nation, that's REIGNATION. You can find it on Facebook.